Hi everyone, N.A.T here, and today I wanted to show you my reference tracks. I wanted to do a separate video just for this because, of course, these are not my tracks, and so it's easy to get copyright claims whenever I use these tracks during my videos. You know, if I use these tracks, I will get claims, and so. But I really do use these tracks a lot, and I just want to share how I use them. That's all. And which tracks these are because it's cool. So let's go over them and just listen to them one by one. I will be using my launchpad, which is very cool. That's how I trigger these tracks a lot of the time, most of the time. Let's go. So I'll talk a little bit about each of them one by one. This is What Are You Waiting For by Stonebank, and it's a track that's kind of more intricate in terms of sound design and heavy sound. So it's kind of like the heaviest, so to speak. Not in sense of being heavy, like, but in sense of having sounds that are complicated in that sense. Okay. Next we have Feed Me. These are all tracks I really like, of course. And I like also how they are mixed and mastered. That's why I use them as reference tracks. And as you can see also, I'm pretty proud about this idea. I think it's really cool. So each and every track I have here is actually like exactly about 16 bars, if I'm not mistaken, or 8 bars, I don't know. Which is like 30 seconds at 128 beats per minute. If the track is 128 beats per minute. But yes, they are cut exactly so I can switch. I can switch in time between my own song that I'm working on, or between each one of them, like this. All right, I think that's really cool, and of course, as you can see here, these are all tracks I purchased from Beatboard, because you need the original source when you're comparing your mix. You know, you need a high quality source, and what best than the original itself, you know. I just took these files and cut just that part of the track in time. Okay, now we go onto the king, the genius, actually. I call him the genius, Matt Zo. I like this. Then we have, oh my god, this track. It's amazing. I heard first version of this track was a tritonal remix from 2011. And when I heard this kind of remake, what is it called? 2020 extended mix. I fell in love. This track is amazing, and it's my reference tracks for kind of like super Saw's anthem, so to speak. Then we have Cola.
That's what you're coming for, but they don't wanna let you in. And you drop your back to the floor and you're asking what's happening. And it's getting late now, hey now. Enough of the arguments. But she sips the Coca-Cola. She can't tell the difference yet. That's what you're coming for, but they don't wanna let you in. And
this is just to reference kind of less, more like chill, so to speak, songs. It's still super cool in my opinion. It has a vibe that's very, I don't know. It's kind of not dark, but kind of, yeah. You're like feeling in this cool space. Then we have the king, Deadmau5. This track is for like perfect balance between kick and bass, even though I am aware that Deadmau5 uses you can just see it, right? Deadmau5 goes less squashed on his tracks. His tracks are way less compressed than other people. Like couple LUFS less compared to other tracks that go like -5, -6. But yeah, I think he's like the foundation of perfect balance between kick and bass. That's when I'm using this track. And I also have this track from his that's like busier in terms of drums, just to have like also a reference for busier drums and bass. Then I have these two reference tracks. They are just the beginning of the track, because I use them just to have the right balance between kick, hat, and clap, and snare, whatever. This is Selecta. It's like the fucking grooviest, coolest beat. Like, come on. Amazing. Then we have again, just for the beat, but kind of busier. So in case I also need to reference percussions and other cymbals, I have Porter Robinson, another genius. He's another genius with a lot of style. And last but not least, my own song, which I'm not sure this is the best, mix and master. I don't really reference to myself that much, to be honest. But just in case I need during the videos to actually reference to something, it's better to reference to myself rather than getting a copyright claim for having referenced to some other track from some label. I also have a low pass chain here, which I can use to. I have which I can use to low pass basically both my song, because it's also on my master. Here, there it is, and it's mapped to the same key. So when I'm low passing my master, just to hear the bass better, I'm also low passing my references, so I can reference the low frequencies. Um, in fact, I said I'm not sure it's best mix and master, because if we use this to look at the waveform itself, you notice. Let's lower it a bit. You notice that the sub, it's a little like even louder than the kick in some parts. And that's not exactly ideal, because if we look, as I said again before, at the king, deadmau5, you can see the kick is clearly louder than the sub. And why would you do that, in your opinion? Why would you have, like, you could have the sub and the kick at the same volume, which is what I did in Focus. Sounds cool, right? But most references, if you look, maybe not always, but most of the time, okay, so it depends, but most of the time, the sub is kind of lower than the kick, and the reason, I believe, is just contrast. By having the sub a little bit quieter compared to the kick will feel bigger, okay? So it depends on the track and depends on what you want to highlight in the mix. Like this song from Matzo definitely had more of that sub bass feeling, because that was the instrument that was driving the chorus the most, I guess. That bass sounds really big, and so it's kind of, that's why I think he highlighted it instead of the kick. Yeah, so that's one of the ways I use references for. Let me actually pull up a track and show you how I use them in real case scenario. So this is a song idea I made a couple days ago, not really with a precise goal. I was just very tired, and that was my way of procrastinating going to bed, I guess. But this is how it sounds. Okay, so I'm pretty proud of the drums, honestly, because I made them myself, and I don't know, sounds good. Okay, so one thing I go and look for is, for example, again, that sub bass and kick balance, which you can see here. Let's pull up our oscilloscope and low pass the mix, and let's look at the sub and the kick. As you can see, the kick is louder. Wish I could freeze the thing. I think I actually can. Okay, as you can see, the kick is definitely louder than the sub, but it wasn't like that before, because I used this Pro MB here, just like an EQ. to lower that sub. As you can see. Without it, it sounded and looked like that. So a very, very prominent sub, as you can see, which was a little too much, in my opinion. Then another thing I do is compare the loudness of my reference tracks to my own track. It isn't necessarily that I want to go as loud as them in terms of values I'm reading here. That's also because if you notice, like with this track, for example, this reference track, like compared to this, or just to compare to other reference tracks. It doesn't sound sounds kind of at the same loudness to me, even though if we look at the values, it looks quite a lot lower compared to this. Okay, and so the reason is the sounds themselves. When you make your sounds really good, that's what happens when you create also contrast. The track will feel bigger. So it's not that I'm using these reference tracks just to smash my sound, but I'm using in terms of comparing the loudness, I'm using them because I am making sure that my track isn't too low in volume or too distorted if I am pushing it too hard, you know? And if the elements are not sounding weird at the same loudness compared to my reference tracks. Now this goes very, very high in volume. Yeah, but it sounds good. All right, so then I also kind of reference just the sounds themselves. Like, for example, I had this first version of the track, which was this one. As you can hear, it sounded kind of empty compared to this. The problem was that the bass was lacking some low-mid frequencies. These frequencies. That's why I added these two silent ones to fill up that part of the spectrum. Wait a second. All right. Then I also reference the spectrum, how wide the spectrum is, by using this span. Okay. I notice in my reference tracks that usually if the red, which is the stereo, stays like in line and or doesn't go above the blue, the stereo correlation, the correlation is good. So that's good, and in my track is good as well. And also I check for how loud the bass goes. In my reference track, the bass goes around here usually. And the highs goes up there as well sometimes, but usually they are lower.
That's what you're coming for, but they don't wanna let you in it.
So I know that as long as I do that, I won't have to go back and forth from my studio to my stereo in my living room or my car to understand the right balance between highs and lows. If I kinda make the bass loud up until here and the highs not louder, not much louder here around here. You know, highs around this line and lows around this line. So this is kind of perfect. All right, other things. I set up this in session view because it's more handy than having a whole wave file of a track here. This is just my own track for reference for my. This is just like I usually. This is on a channel called current project, so to speak, or rather, this is the last version of the project I have. And when I save a new one and the session, I will drag and drop the new version here. So I can always reference to, if I change something in the track, I can always reference to the previous version. Okay. And yeah, but when I need to reference to my reference tracks, by keeping them on the session view, I'm not messing up anything on the arrangement and leaving all the arrangement space just for my own track. All right, so that was the talk about my reference tracks. Hope it wasn't too long, and yeah, but I wanted to talk about them because it's cool. I believe, and by doing this on a separate video, I will only get this one claimed. But when doing music on other videos, you will see me muting the audio when I'm playing whatever I use them, so I don't get copyright claims. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.